Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Welcome to our introduction to the pronunciation of Pāli. In this class, we're following two texts by Venerable Anandajoti. Anandajoti Bhante has a website called ancientbuddhisttext.net. And this is his introduction. The first is his introduction to Pāli pronunciation, which is simply called a guide to pronunciation of Pāli. And the second one is called a guide to the parsing of Pāli. Pāli is the beautiful language of the early Buddhist scriptures. It is based on an Indian dialect that was spoken in the area where the Buddha did most of his teaching, and therefore must be very close to the language that the Buddha used during his 45 years of teaching. Without any doubt, the Theravada scriptures, which are preserved in the Pāli language, contain the most faithful record of what the Buddha actually taught. So for those who are earnestly striving to put the Buddha's teaching into practice, it is a great advantage to be able to read and understand the language of the text. Pāli is notable for both its fluency and its rhythm, and there is no easier or quicker way to become acquainted with the language than through reciting the text aloud, which will soon familiarize the student with the key words and phrases which recur in the text, and at the same time will give a feel for the structure of the language. Below is an introduction to some of the pronunciation of Pāli, together with some notes to clarify some of the difficulties that are encountered by those unfamiliar with Indian languages. The alphabet. First we have the vowels. A, A, I, U, U, A, O. The pure nasal. Ang. And then the consonants. Ka, Ka, Ga, Ga, Nga. Cha, Cha, Ja, Ja, Nya. Ta, Ta, Da, Da, Na. Ta, Ta, Da, Da, Na. Pa, Pa, Ba, Ba, Ma. Then the semivowels, sibilant and aspirate. Ya, Ra, La, La, Va, Sa, Ha. This is the basic pattern of all Indian alphabets, and as can be seen, they are arranged on a very rational basis. First come the vowels, discussed below, followed by the pure nasal. Next come the definite consonants with their corresponding nasal sounds. These are organized according to their place of articulation, beginning with the gutturals pronounced at the back of the mouth, and ending with those articulated on the lips. Then come the indefinite consonants. There are 5 main difficulties for those unfamiliar with the Indian languages, which will be dealt with here. Unlike English, for instance, the vowel system in Pāli is very precise, and the vowels are either short or long, with the latter being exactly twice as long as the former. It is important to distinguish the lengths of the vowels correctly, as a, for example, is a negative prefix, but a is an intensifier. Ananda means unhappy. Ananda means very happy. Only one letter is used to represent the sounds A and O, which are normally pronounced long. Before a conjunct, they are normally pronounced short as E or O, although it appears to be the case that when these vowels appear in sandhi before a double consonant, they retain their natural length and should be pronounced as such, so that in Jinaratana we should read Jinaratana. The second and fourth letters in the consonant section of the alphabet, Ka, Ga, Cha, Ja, etc., are digraphs representing the aspirate sound of the preceding consonant, Ka, Ga, Cha, Ja, etc. They are pronounced as the letter, but with a strong breath pulse. Again, these must be distinguished. Kamati, for example, is not Kamati. Note that the simple ch is pronounced as in change. Ch is the same with a stronger breath pulse. In Pāli, ta, ta da are pronounced with the tongue behind the dental ridge, giving a characteristic hollow sound. The sounds ta, da, and da are pronounced with the tip of the tongue on the teeth. In English, ta and da, etc. are about halfway between the two, so move the tongue back for the first group and forward for the second. Note that ta is never pronounced as in they or their, but is the aspirate of ta. The nasal sounds are all distinguished according to their place of articulation. This in practice causes few problems when the nasal is in conjunction with one of its corresponding consonants, but some of them, nya, na, and ma, occur by themselves also. So again, they must be recognized and pronounced according to the correct position. The sound of each can be found by pronouncing them before a member of their group. For example, the first ing as in ink. The pronunciation of nya is as in canyon, or the Spanish word señor. The letter ng represents the pure nasal, which is sounded when the air escapes through the nose only. Double consonants must be clearly articulated as two sounds, not merged into one, as is the tendency in European languages. When there is a double consonant, it may help to imagine a hyphen between the two letters and pronounce accordingly. Therefore, sutang, not sutang, or sutang, bhikkhu, not bhikkhu, or bhikkhu, etc. To get a feel for the pronunciation and rhythm of the language, it is strongly advised that beginners join in group chanting with people who are experienced in the language until they are able to manage the correct pronunciation by themselves. This will also help in familiarizing students with certain basic texts. So, at this point, we'll move on to the guide to the parsing of Pāli. In parsing a sentence in Pāli, we break it down into syllables. 1. In Pāli, syllables are made with a vowel or a consonant followed by a vowel. 2. There are open and closed syllables. 3. An open syllable is one in which the syllable ends in a vowel. It is light in weight. 4. A closed syllable ends in either a consonant or a nigihita, ang. It is heavy in weight. In what follows, ka, ga, cha, ja, ta, da, tha, da, pa, ba, la are aspirates and considered to be single consonants. When parsing Pāli sentences, there are a few rules to abide by. 1. A syllable followed by another vowel or by another single consonant is open and divided after the vowel. For example, mata pitu upatanam viharati. A syllable followed by a double consonant is closed and divided after the first consonant. For example, anyatara savatyang. Nigihita, ang, is always joined to the previous vowel and the syllable is closed. For example, tang, evang, sutang. Sarabhati vowels, written here in superscript, are elided. Let's get an example for the Mahamangala Sutta. Evang me sutang ekang samayang bhagava savatyang viharati jetavane anatapindika sarame athakho anyatara devata abhikantaya ratya abhikantavanna kevala kappang jetavanam obhasetva Ina bhagavaten upasankamidva bhagavantang abhivadetva ekamantang arthasi ekamantang tathakho sa devata bhagavantang gathaya anjambhasi bahudeva manusa cha mangalani achintayung Akankamana sottanam bruhi mangalamuttamam asevana cha balanam panditanam cha sevana puja cha pujaniyanam etam mangalamuttamam patirupadesavaso cha pumbe cha katapunyata atta sammapanidhi cha etam mangalamuttamam bahu satchancha sippancha vinayo cha susikhito subhasita chaya vacha etam mangalamuttamam mata pitu upattanam puttadaras sangaho enakula cha kammanta etam mangalamuttamam danancha dhammacharya cha nyatakanancha sangaho anavandani kammani etam mangalamuttamam arati virati papa majjapana cha sanyamo appamado cha dhammesu etam mangalamuttamam garavo cha nivato cha santutti cha katanyuta kalena dhamma savanam etam mangalamuttamam kanti cha sovachasata samananam cha dasanam kalena dhamma sakaccha etam mangalamuttamam tapo cha brahmacharyancha arya satchana dasanam nibbana satchikiryacha etam mangalamuttamam puttassa loka dhammehi chittam yasana kampati asokam virajam khemam etam mangalamuttamam etadisani kadvana sambattam aparajita sambatta sotting gachanti tang te sang mangalamuttammanti. In the next three classes, we're going to go through the three most important protective chants in Theravada Buddhism. The Mahamangala Sutta, which we just chanted, Ratana Sutta, and Karaniyamatta Sutta. We're going to go through them mostly for vocabulary. A lot of people are saying that when they study Pāli, there are a lot of words that maybe they don't understand. So if they come to it with a bit of a basis from these suttas, in the first place, they'll be hearing these words again and again when they do their daily chanting. And in the second place, they'll have a basis for learning further vocabulary and going deeper into their Pāli studies. So I wish that your Pāli studies may be of benefit to your Dhamma practice and that you may swiftly attain the peace of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.